Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dave at PreciseAlgorithmTrading.com. It's Tuesday, April 18th, 2023, and what did the markets do today? Let's look at, I guess the futures are fine. So that doji candlestick right there that I'm hovering over is the day's price action. This next bar is what's happening into tomorrow already. That's what the futures do. They trade overnight, and overnight they're whatever that even, it's nothing. It's -3, so it doesn't really mean much. It won't mean really much until the stuff starts to happen in the morning, like maybe 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. It's normally when some of the reports are going on. I get a lot of mine from econoday.com, ECONODAY.com. They have a nice free tool for checking the news on the markets and the major events that move the markets. So anyways, this is the E-mini futures for the S&P 500. We're still in a buy space on the True Momo indicator down here at the bottom. The buy signal was way back here. We actually had a few, but we had some negated ones with sell signals at the same time. You could just take the buy signals on the green when the True Momo indicator is green and ignore the sell signals until they turn red and you get red and sell at the same time. That's, or you can be paranoid and just get in and get out, because there's nothing wrong with literally, like, that's a signal right there. And if you look at the difference between that signal and the previous one, they're not that far apart. And then when you do take off to the upside and you can stay there for a while, that's a nice big move. I'm not going to say that happens all the time, but it really, especially with the fact that stocks these days, when you get an actual stock move, and let's just look at one like Apple here. It's a very similar situation. There's where you get a red indication and you get a green indication, a buy signal right afterwards. So you get a sell on a red and a buy on a red at the same time. And are we going to get a bigger move? I don't know. Maybe. Is it a playable move? It's overbought at that point, so you're kind of taking your life into your own hands. But anyway, you get the idea. So here's a buy and a sell and a buy again, and so that buy signal was somewhere in the neighborhood of $153, and the next buy signal happened at 150, so actually a little bit better. And yeah, you'd have to sell out, but it doesn't actually cost, I don't think it costs anything to buy and sell stocks these days. You can do it for free in your brokerage accounts, or at least most of the ones, and the one I'm dealing with here. So buying in and out of a stock doesn't cost anything. Anyway, so that's Apple. That's just to look at an individual stock, and so that's the E-mini futures on the S&P. The NASDAQ, let's see what it did today. You actually can see the real stats down here. The S&P went up by very little. The Dow went down by very little. The Russell, it blocks out at the end of the day, so you got to actually look at that one if you care. And then the NASDAQ didn't move very much. So really they all went sideways for the day, is what it is. So and then oil, just for fun, I'm going to look at the actual oil futures contract. I think it's probably still, USO actually went down by a fraction today, but the oil contract is, it's made a big move. It looks like it's on the move on both time frames, and we'll see what happens here. So there's nothing playable for me right now. I actually, when this thing popped up here, I actually bought a put and sold it out within a couple days when it wasn't moving in my direction. I was hoping it was going to pull back to these averages, and it didn't happen, so I got out with a small loss. It's proving better all the time that Really, it would have just been better to buy on this signal, and you would have made a nice gain there. I'd have been done with it. So, yeah, anyways, that lessons learned. So I'm going to flip over to stockcharts.com. Type in bullish so we can look at the bullish percent indexes, so we can see kind of what's happening under the hood. This is really a way of looking at buying and selling pressure in the markets. We'll look at the NYA. So the markets didn't move very much today, up or down overall. You know, that is something to show you guys. A neat little tool that I use for fun. You can actually add symbols together. This is the Russell and the Dow and the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 added together in their futures contracts. You just put symbol plus symbol plus symbol plus symbol, and you get the combination of all of those, and you can see, you know, generally overall we're in a buy signal. We've been in a buy signal for a while, and you can see when it starts to fall apart. So that's a neat little thing, which is, again, the overall markets didn't move much today, and the NYA actually moved up by 0.43%. So still, actually, that's not very much in the scheme of things, in my opinion, either. The transports probably didn't move at all. Wonder why we're having trouble with this now. Technology is a great thing when it works. All right, well, let's try something else. I can't have this. All right. I guess everybody, you can go through these, check them out, see what's going on. I'm not going to mess with this on this video tonight. We're going to flip it right over to our automatic trading systems. This is the Dow on the quarterly basis, and it's been up and down, and it's down right now, and that's aggravating me, but it is what it is. Long term, it's fine. Just need to get back up and going again. This is the Russell, and it's actually it's really aggravating me because it's taken a deeper dive, but long term, it's got to weather that storm right there so that you can get this kind of gain happening again one of these days. Or really, if you look at that whole thing, that would have been that move tacked on to where we're at right now. You know, all things will be healed. So there's no guarantees it's going to happen, but the math does support it. And then here's the NASDAQ, which is, again, my favorite. I say this every night when I'm looking at these because it's my favorite overall equity curve. And looky there, we got a new green dot today for a new high in our equity. And these equity peaks are what you're going for. That means we hit it literally a new high in our equity on the NASDAQ futures today in our trading system. And if you look at here, this is the 6 months data of it when you add them all together, and there's that new equity peak. That's music to my ears because, you know, when you get a new equity peak like we did on that day, wait a minute, do it this way. That's great. That little green dot right there leads to new equity peaks like that. And you get these big gaps in the middle, big gap in the middle. Now we've had a big gap in the middle. Well, it actually works that way for these as well. So you get new equity peak and then it goes up, right? Well, you had this big gap and then it went up, had this big gap and then it went up. Now this big gap's lasted a little bit longer than I'd prefer, but it is what it is. And if you look back here, same thing. So we are looking to take out and start making new highs again up in here, and the markets just have to cooperate to get that done. So going back to this one, And if anybody's just getting started, this is the one I recommend. And you don't have to start on this is, I believe, 3 contracts going. It might be more than that. If you start this one with 1 contract, it's something in the neighborhood of a $30,000 would be where you start to be able to handle the dips. So that's what I got for tonight. Hopefully it helps. Everybody take care, good trading, and have a great night.